I'll be very happy to be educated. Tell me the difference.
Mr. Chairman, the honorable member is saying he's a farmer, and he can't distinguish between the two.
Honorable, just please tell him the difference. It's not just for him, it's for all of us listening. Please.
Price stability is not food security. You can have fluctuations in price, and so your security of food will be rising. That's the difference.
Asking whether you know NSAPIA.
I want you to define what is no. If I somebody that
do you know any person called by that name?
Yes, I know someone called NSAPIA.
Is he related to AMJ Company or Agro Wave?
I know that he's a director of AMG Company.
Do you have an idea when his company was registered?
How would I know? I don't have any idea about these companies.
Are you aware that they've been supplying fertilizer to the planting for food and jobs over the past 4 years? Are you also aware that they alone supply close to 50% of all the fertilizers that are supplied to the ministry?
I'm not aware of that.
Are you aware that GAPOA had a concession agreement which was executed on May 18, 2015 with Fruit Export Terminal Company Limited?
I'm not aware.
Will you be surprised if you are told that this contract is still in force, that has been signed by GAPOA and Fruit Export Terminal Ghana Limited?
Mr. Chairman, nothing surprises me in this world.
As the Minister designate for Food and Agriculture, if approved, will you want to see this concession terminated?
I am yet to be appointed, approved by this committee, and I'm not prepared to make any comment or speculate on any action for my future.
Mr. Chairman, I want to find out from the nominee, in 2017-2018 cocoa season, whether the price of cocoa was increased. That is aware.
Which period again?
2017-2018 season. Whether you are aware whether the price of cocoa was increased for the ordinary farmer.
I have to check.
Do you remember the current price of cocoa per bag?
I have to check.
My plan is to enhance the sector by improving their way of the farming, increasing of the fishing fleets, introducing the close season for them to get more catch. If I'm right, I don't know, but I didn't get your question very well.
What is the per capita consumption of fish in Ghana?
Honorable. Honorable, per capita, how many kilos if any individual consume? He eats bush meat, so you can count him out.
Every Ghanaian consumes 23 kilograms a year. That is the per capita consumption.
Honorable nominee, what is fish farming? What is fish farming? And what are some of the advantages of fish farming?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will try my best. Fish farming is the process of rearing of fish in the reservoirs and the fish ponds, etc. Thank you.
Honorable, please, I said, what are the advantages of fish farming?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One advantages of fish farming is it makes the farmer earn some income. It also increases fish in our community for consumption. Thank you.
What policy plans do you have to improve the lot of women in the fishing industry?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Looking at the fishing industry, I believe there are lots of women in that chain. And first of all, as I will do consultation with them,
You have
we'll
said
also
there's
empower.
a lot of women in that chain. Where are the women in the chain?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, right from the coast to the market.
That is the selling part. Is that right? The marketing part is where the women are.
Yes, please.
So that's where your policy direction will be, I suspect.
Sorry?
So that's where your policy direction will be, that the question is asking.
Yes, please.
So how will you help the women in the marketing of the fish?
By empowering them, Mr. Chairman.
Coffee in your cup and joy on the set. The Super Morning Show is always the best bet on Joy 99.7 FM.
I want to make one drivers. Why one gallon of beer? We always see a simpia. I wrote glass.
Hey, and there is dancing along the coast.
Next one, you do Amanfue Ago.
Amen.
I like that one. I like this one. This is by Western Diamonds. So
that's right.
At the time, they made it Kofi Bentil and the Western Diamonds. It is not Kofi Bentil Emmanuel. Just so you don't come and ask me. But this is Kofi Bentil and Western Diamonds.
Yes,
Passenger.
Yes,
it was a great one. It was a great one. I mean, this one reminds us of the good old days when Victor Brachi wasn't born. I was a little boy.
And it's a favorite of fishermen and fisherfolk across the coast, especially in the Fanti sector of our nation. So a very good morning to them. Thanks to all of those who have tuned in. All right then. So, well, interesting outcomes from Parliament, right?
Interesting outcomes. And you see, we've listened to the nominees go through vetting. We've heard the questions by the members of the Appointments Committee. This morning, I want us to do a very unique thing because these members of the Appointment Committee are there for us. They are representatives, even when it comes to the 275 members of Parliament. All of them cannot be there and ask questions. So you have 26 of them asking questions. Right. I want all of us to do a bit of assessment here. Now, the questions that they asked, were you pleased with the questions? Did you think that these questions are questions that can get the best of the nominees that appeared before the Appointments Committee? Let's look at even the responses from the nominees. What do you make? What are your own assessments of the responses from the nominees? You've heard from about 19 ministers who've appeared before the Appointments Committee of Parliament. On Friday, you heard from Dr. Kwekwe Friye, Minister of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation. Then Dr. Uswe Friye Akoto, Minister Designate for Food and Agriculture. What do you make of the responses that they gave? Were you satisfied? On the whole, which minister would you say has done so well, and which minister would you say does not deserve to be approved by Parliament? Share your thoughts with us this morning using the hashtag JoySMS. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to read your comments and your thoughts this morning.
We're particularly excited about what you think of the committee, the panel, and the questions they've been asking. Yes, of course, tell us who you think has done well, whose answers you think have really met the mark. whose you don't think have been so good? And what's the way forward anyway? That's an interesting thing that Newsfile started to discuss. So let's assume that the panel decides that one person or the other is not suitable for the role the president is, designating them to play. What then? They have the power to recommend the person not be approved. But then what? How far will things go, and what options will remain? I'd love to hear the answers to those questions. All right. So we've got quite a bit to do, haven't we?
We do, Kojo, and because we need to have an important conversation on the Ghanaian economy, where in COVID-19 we know of all the challenges, but also it brings us some prospects. Okay, what are those prospects? What is the path for economic growth? Yes, I know we're talking about vaccines and all, which we'll be talking about later on the show. But before we get to the vaccines, it's important we talk about our path to economic recovery, our path to economic growth. Next month, I would expect the Minister of Finance to be presenting the budget for the remainder of the year. We had some estimates for the first quarter of the year. We're expecting the remainder of the year estimates to be presented to Parliament. And so we're having this all-important conversation, the path to economic growth. And Dr. Emmanuel Otinkuma will be joining us here on the Super Morning Show. He's one man who knows a lot. He's an economist of about 3-decade experience. And so he'll be joining us this morning to have this all-important conversation. And then after that, Kojo, Ghana has been engaging Russia for vaccines. We'll have that conversation also. It's very important.
Absolutely. Now, it's something that I want us to all get educated on. Because there's so much uncertainty about vaccines. And so it's important for us to understand this latest FDA approval, what has been approved and why. Why have we decided to go for this option? What are the advantages of this option? And as Ghanaians, what can we expect if indeed this vaccine is rolled out? How much of it are we going to get by when? Who will be prioritized? All these important questions need to be explored. And so I'm very excited that we'll be making some time for that here on the Super Morning Show. Stay with us. Judgment debt is also on our minds. Risen. But it's not just walking past.
You see, and the discussion on judgment debt is important because we're told that the first phase of vaccination would cost the country $51 million. Now, we are supposed to pay a judgment debt of $164 million. And we also face another $55 million judgment debt. So make it very simple. 51 times 3 gives you 153. So you're looking at more than, you're looking at a threefold increase with the money needed for buying vaccines for the Ghanaian population. Indeed. And that's why it's important we have this conversation. We're still struggling with the recovery. Over 51 million Ghana cedis from Alfred Agbesiwe. The courts have ruled. Yeah. Today we've been asked to sell his properties. But the question you ask yourself is, following that particular situation, following the establishment of the sole commissioner on judgment debts and all the recommendations, have we learnt any lessons? Why must we have to go through judgment debts again at this time?
And is it an alert for corruption? Because Justice Apo famously described create, loot, and share. As one of the avenues that judgment debt permits. So, are we looking at a repetition of that era? Have we got people who are deliberately not putting up the best defense, that Ghana could have, or deliberately signing contracts and abrogating them in a way that will result in debt? Are we having that instance again in this country? How do we protect against it? Lots to talk about on the Super Morning Show. Stay with us. We're back, starting off with our all-important conversation, looking into the crystal ball of our economy after these.
Massa, make what make you go. You need to go to the bank first before we go and pay for the things. Time no day like that too.
Relax. Everything dey in my hand inside.
Massa, you need to get the cash.
Forget the cash. See, transfer, pack payment, pack. I dey use the Cow Bank